census surprise, hidden stories in plain sight. When you are doing ancestry or family history research, no one can do any research without coming across, if you are a United States citizen or if you're looking for someone in the United States, a census document. Um, One of the great things about census documents is, specifically in the United States, every 10 years, someone would come out and take a census of your ancestors, where they lived, if they could read or write, how much money they had, how many children, if they were widowed. It depends on the year. Sometimes more information came out as time went on. But it's great to know, because then you can know if your family were farmers, if they could read or write, if they had 10 children and only 5 were living, if there were children in living with them. Or sometimes you would find, you might be researching a great grandfather, and you can't find that great grandfather, but all of a sudden you find on this census document that that great grandfather is living with their child, or a great uncle is living with that child, or a great grandmother is living with her daughter, and she would be listed as a mother-in-law on the census documents. And I say this from a standpoint of, for enslaved family members, because a lot of times we're looking for other people's names. So you may know that your family's maiden name is Shannon, but you're looking for your great grandmother who is related to your mother's side of the family, and your mother's side of the family, because they're women, normally their last names changed. And it's great to find these hidden gems on census documents, because then you can find out, oh, my great grandmother's or my great great grandmother's name was Judy Jackson. So now you can start looking for Judy Jackson's family on your family history search. So census documents can have a wealth of information. The one thing that I like about census documents is they show family. And when you find somebody on those documents, don't forget to look at the whole document holistically. Look at it a couple of pages before and a couple pages back, and maybe a couple of pages before that, because you may find that your family members may be living a block away or 2 blocks away, and they may just be relatives, could be on the next page. Those are things that I found when I had when I was doing family research, is I would find my specific family that I was looking for, and then I would scroll a couple pages or a page, and I would see, hey, that's their brother from 10 years ago, and he's not very far. And so you'll find that people generally, not all the time, but they generally stayed in the same vicinity. And then you may find that brother's family, and then you can start researching that side of the family as well, and add them to your tree. Those are great tips for finding information on the census documents. Do know that the 1890 census document was destroyed. There are very few, I can't remember the counties, but there are very few counties or cities that have 1890 census documents. If you are one of the people that are blessed to have an 1890 census, utilize it. Utilize it as much as you can, because the majority of the United States has no access to that, because they burned in a fire. So those are great ways to find documents. Now, for those who live in states that were not states. For instance, I have quite a few ancestors that moved from Kentucky into what was at the time called Indian Territory. So there were some census, but they were not considered United States census, and they were not like the documents that you're normally used to seeing. And they would have some type of territory census, but it wasn't what you would expect. Oklahoma became a state in like 1900 or 1901. So that tells you there really wasn't an 1880 census or 1890 census to go off of. And because it was such a new state, they didn't have a lot of records. So for that, it's kind of like you might hit a brick wall, but you can look around, because a lot of times those people either lived in other states that did have census. Check Arkansas. A lot of my ancestors, who I assumed left from Kentucky and moved into Oklahoma, because in the 1900s they were in Oklahoma. They left Kentucky and they went into Kansas, and they're on documents in Kansas, and I wasn't aware of that. And they lived in Kansas until about 1900, and then they winded up moving into Oklahoma, but I was not aware of that. So a lot of ancestors, your ancestors may have moved into Kansas as well, which was a state, and they had census documents. So make sure that you look deeper into the hidden gems on census documents, and you may find that the story that you've been told. Oh, my grandmother, and I'm telling you this story because it's a story I was told. Oh, my grandfather only had 5 kids. Well, the census document said they had 10. And I have the names of those census of those kids, and you may have, your ancestor may have only knew about 5 kids, but the other 5 may have been older than those children that they knew, and they were well off, moved on, and no one had heard from them, because this was horse and buggy days. Families weren't always in contact like we are in contact now. So those documents can really give you a lot of insight on if there were, if somebody is widowed, where they were born. Some of those documents you can find where it will say, I found ancestors where they were saying they were born in Africa, or they were born in, on an island somewhere or wherever, and it was shocking, because I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't know that, or whatever. So you will find some amazing gems looking at census documents. If you like these tips and you like more help, or you like more tips on how to do ancestry research, check out my ebook below. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe and like and share.